Well, Nader Hashemi, an associate professor of Middle East politics at Georgetown University, joins us now from Washington, D.C. Thanks very much indeed for being with us. This is obviously a developing, unfolding story. What is your assessment of what we have learnt so far regarding this helicopter crash?
Well, the fact that they have been unable to identify the location of the helicopter and ascertain whether the president of Iran and Iran's foreign minister and other high-ranking officials are alive or dead, the longer this drags on, the longer this seems like um, a very significant situation where the people on that helicopter did not survive the crash, and that opens up, questions over, what happened. Was this completely an accident, or was there foul play? And then what does this mean for internal Iranian politics going forward?
We just want to touch on the point that you mentioned at the end of your answer there. How significant could the ramifications be for Iran politically?
Well, they're significant because we're talking about the president of Iran and foreign minister dying in a unexplained helicopter crash. But I think it's important not to exaggerate the significance of the death of the president of Iran, assuming this is what happened. Um, in the Iranian political system, it's the office of the supreme leader that is the most important and powerful institution in the political system. The current president, Ebrahim Raisi, who was on that helicopter, had a reputation of being a very sort of uncharismatic, uninspiring, and very loyal and dependent political leader who worked very closely with the office of the supreme leader. In other words, he had a reputation of effectively being a puppet of the supreme leader. So if he has died in this helicopter crash, the fundamental power structure in Iran will not be affected, and the fundamental political orientation of Iran in terms of its domestic policies and foreign policies will not be affected, because those policies have always been shaped for a very long time, not by the president of Iran, but by the supreme leader of Iran. The other related point here that I think is very significant is that the current supreme leader is 85 years old. Iran is in the middle of an unofficial debate over who will succeed him. Given the power of the supreme leader, this is a very important sort of consideration for the viability and the future of this political system. Ebrahim Raisi was considered to be one of the possible contenders to succeed the supreme leader. And so if he has died, this basically means he's no longer a possible candidate, and the other candidate who's been in play here will rise in significance and importance as being the new successor to the supreme leader. And of course, we're talking about the son of the supreme leader, a very mercurial figure by the name of Mujtaba Khamenei, who's considered to be sort of the power behind the throne of his father, very influential and a very significant player. So this is another sort of aspect of this news story that I'm following very closely. In other words, what does this mean for the whole succession crisis in the Islamic Republic of Iran?
Important to stress as well that at the moment this is very much a search and rescue operation. Lots of international support, for example, Turkey deploying UAV, 32 Mountaineer search and rescue personnel, along with 6 vehicles for land operations, wider support as well, and that continues. I just want to ask you about the sanctions, the international sanctions that have been imposed on Iran over many years. I mean, for instance, we know the president was on board an old helicopter, a decades-old helicopter, in part due to the sanctions. I just want to ask you how much of a difference, how much of an impact have those sanctions had on Iran?
Well, the sanctions that Iran has been under, largely by the United States, have been some of the most punitive and comprehensive sanctions that have ever been designed in the history of sanctions regime. So they're comprehensive, and they have affected Iran's ability to purchase new technology, and specifically aircraft and new helicopters that are state-of-the-art technology. So this could be a factor that has contributed to the downing or the crashing of this helicopter. I don't know. We don't know the specifics of how old this helicopter was and the state that it was in. But you would think that a country like Iran, despite the sanctions that it is under, would be able to provide a workable and effective transportation for its senior leaders, in this case, the president and the foreign minister. Now, I guess in time we'll come to learn what the reason for the crash of this helicopter was, and if it was because it was old, it was not in good state. That would raise a number of questions, and there'll be an investigation, I suspect. But that's a possible factor in play here. But again, I would like to emphasize that when it comes to the high levels of the regime, there's always an interest to devote state resources to make sure that that those officials are able to benefit from the best technology that money can buy in this case. And so we'll have to wait and see to what extent the sanctions was actually a factor in this event that we're talking about.
Okay, appreciate your assessment and insight. Nader Hashemi, Associate Professor of Middle East Politics at Georgetown University. Thank you.